Good afternoon, I think almost evening at it's like 4 o'clock almost. Welcome to episode 5 of the Intrusive Thoughts Show. Today we're gonna do something a little different. We're gonna do more of a deep dive on a kind of a story that some of you might already know about. I actually heard about it on TikTok originally. I haven't really posted about it, but it's so out of pocket I have to. Because this needs to be amplified and discussed. And there will actually be a call to action at the very end of this video. Stick around for that. So let's get into it. We're gonna start by this video is about none other than Miss Mayor Tiffany Heynard in a small Illinois town. Probably the most abuse of power I have ever seen in my life. So we will be going to that in just a moment. I'm gonna do a quick video. There's a clip I got on TikTok kind of explaining um, some of it. I figured I'll start with that, kind of get some more details, just basic details on what exactly is happening with this. So let me get that open for y'all now. Alrighty.
Heynard is the most controversial mayor in all of America. So this mayor named Tiffany Heynard is the mayor of a place called Dalton, Illinois. And essentially every single resident in Dalton wants Tiffany out of office. This is mainly because Tiffany's very controversial use of taxpayer money. For starters, Tiffany has a full security detail that goes everywhere with her in the town. This security detail is estimated to be about $250K a year. In addition to security, Tiffany also uses taxpayer funds to do things like buying billboards with her face and name on it. She also puts her name all over government vehicles and buildings throughout the town. And she even has her own 2024 calendar. And of course, she put her own birthday in the calendar. Now, in addition to all of this, Tiffany has also made it extremely hard for anyone to run against her. Currently, she makes around $225K a year. However, if someone were to run against her and win, they would not be getting anywhere close to what Tiffany's making. This is because Tiffany is proposing a 90% cut in her salary, but only if someone who is not her is elected. This would drop the pay from $225K to just $25K. Yet even with that massive pay cut, people still want to run against Tiffany just so they can get her out.
So as you can see, there is quite the abuse of power there. Just that salary alone, $273,000. Like I said, that's more than Supreme Court justices. And I think I have a couple other TikToks. I'm gonna just show on here real quick. Talking about her. Where was the one I just saw? I had it saved. Where is it? Did I lose it? Let me go look for it. Okay, here we go. Yep, this is the one I was looking for. All right, so let's go back to that. All right.
Y'all stuff, y'all black. Y'all are black. And y'all sitting up here beating and attacking on a black woman that's in power.
At the end of the day, vendors are not being paid. Board approved it. The vendors are not being paid.
How about you be a good leader, bring RFPs to the forefront, so not just us, but the residents and everybody else in America know how the money is being spent.
Township credit card records show Henyard and other officials spent more than $67,000 on trips to Portland, Austin, Atlanta, and New York City. Many of the flights were first class. So were the accommodations.
I don't know if they mentioned in the report, but she's paying herself a $300,000 salary. She's using tax money for extravagant vacations. She has an expensive security detail for some reason. And this is a woman is the mayor of a town of like 5 people or something. Maybe it might be a few, but I think it's like 20,000. So a few more than 5. And yet she's paying herself a higher salary than they give Supreme Court justices. You know, she raises a good point. She says, hey, I'm a black woman in power.
All right, so yeah, as you can see there, there's just another video kind of detailing the extravagant spending, but it's even worse. There's misconducts. She would actually, yeah, someone talked about running a business and they wouldn't renew his license because he wouldn't support the mayor, wouldn't donate to her campaign. And another thing, this is her page right here. Oh, let me pull it up. Sorry, y'all. There we go. Super Mayor Henyard on TikTok. So, y'all can do your thing and, let her know how you feel about this corruption. But she's starting her own podcast now, apparently. Let's just.
It's Super Mayor Tiffany A. Heynard, the People's Mayor, inviting you to join me each week as I speak the raw truth on my new podcast.
Yeah, so there's that. Yeah, I don't know if I showed you that article or not. Let me get it pulled up, make sure I have it. Yeah, so yeah, someone, like I said, had a U-Haul business. In this article, Fox 32 Chicago, they didn't renew his business license, and now she's starting her own podcast, spending $67,000 on very extravagant expenditures. Just the most out of pocket I've ever heard. Then there's this that I just saw. It was uploaded February 19th, 2024, so recent, literally a couple days ago. Belize embattled police ordered shooting at her home. This is what? So there's the video clip, I guess. I know it's... You can kind of hear. I don't know if you kind of could hear it. I think, I don't know. But this is former trustee Miss Stubbs. Were riddled with at least 9 shots last July. So she was raided. Her house got raided. This is like mafia level. She accused the mayor of hiring a registered sex offender, which is true. I believe the person actually was, I believe, on the registry, so it was because of that. So that's another sinful thing. There's her literally dressed up as a fictional drug kingpin character, literally in this article. So this is the most out-of-pocket story I've ever seen in my life. The blatant corruption, the grotesque and openness of her corruption, it's insane, actually, what this person has gotten away with. So people are going to then say, well, why don't they do anything about it? Why don't they try to vote her out of office? They did. And it got overthrown by a judge. And this is the part I really wanted to talk about right here. Because often, we always say you can vote yourself out of these problems. It scares me to death that these people could not get a recall vote for someone of this blatantly corrupt. So it was she was elected in 2021. So it was 2022 was when they held a recall vote. And I have not seen anything since then about a recall vote. I don't know, the thing that were not valid. I don't know what the reasoning was that this was not a valid recall vote. If I know with recall votes, there's very specific paperwork and deadlines, so I do know maybe that's probably something procedural at best. I mean, I believe it was a 56% of the people tried to vote her out. 56% of voters in this area tried to vote her out of office. So yeah, they're probing now. The FBI is obviously looking into it. It's about dang time. These people have been under this person's rule for like 3 years now. Took you long enough. What are they paying the FBI for? What are they doing? They just see this corruption and just look the other way. This is the most, the reason I had to speak about it was just because these people tried to do a recall effort and get rid of this woman. Here, let me go to my full webcam now. Yeah, they tried to get rid of this woman, okay? They tried to make her go away, vote her out, do the right thing. Obviously, she's not going to step down anytime soon because she loves the power that she gets. Who wouldn't love $67,000 in vacations, which is more than what most people make in a year? A good majority of this country, actually. And she's getting paid at almost $300,000 salary, which is more than Supreme Court justices, more than the president, actually, I believe, too. More than senators, like all of those people. And she just runs a town of what, 20,000 people, and then makes it so she gets voted out. They only make 25,000. Um, and another thing that's really disturbing about this is any police officer going along with this, anyone in her administration going along with this crap, they're just as guilty as she is. They need to be put in the spotlight a little bit too, because they're not only enforcing this BS, this grotesque abuse of power. I mean, I've seen it. I saw a little bit of this, I think, back in December when it was first reported on. They're finally, like I said, doing an investigation, but these people are still suffering under her leadership right now. Um, so there is a change.org petition. As I was doing a little more research on this, so I will be putting that link in the bio because we got to get her out of office. Someone needs to step in. It's mind. I can't even, the words, I'm struggling to even put words in a sentence about how grotesque of an abuse of power that this is. I'm sure you guys maybe have seen it on your TikTok For You page. I'm sure there's more videos out there kind of explaining it, but yeah, basically just the lavish spending so openly. She also, another thing I didn't talk about, I know I saw it in another video, she just doesn't even, like, there's no transparency with the board. They've asked her to explain the spending and she just won't do it. Why she's spending $67,000 on vacations. We all know why. She's just using the taxpayers as free money, basically. And I believe the city is $7 million in debt. They're threatening to repossess police vehicles, from what I saw. And I believe she started with a surplus. So just in a few short years, she brought them to a $7 million deficit. Just not paying bills, some of which the board approved of. So there is this petition. I guess you can sign it. I'm gonna be honest though. If they can't even get a recall vote to get this person out, I question what we'd be able to do with a petition like this. But I'll still link it in the bio and see what happens. See if the feds will step in and remove this person from office. This deranged individual who literally has abused her power, literally shot, possibly ordered literally a hit, dressing up like a mafia gangster. Like, it's funny, but it's not. It's scary. People like to say we can vote ourselves out of these problems. I know I saw another video. She locked I think one of the auditors out of the building, preventing them from doing their job. Just this grotesque abuse of power is unimaginable in this country. These people try to take the proper steps. That's the part that really gets me, is these people try to do a recall effort on this woman, and for whatever reason the court just shot it down, and she gets to stay in power, and she gets to gloat in front of people's faces about it, and she gets to continue to abuse the money to this day, right now, right this second. You saw, yeah, I can't believe I saw that she's starting a podcast. The audacity and the security detail. I read, I know I saw, but I've seen a lot of content about this. I was trying to collect as much of it as I could. She has this big security detail, and I believe there was like some awful shooting at like some store, and the police obviously couldn't be there because they're busy securing her. They paid one police guy $13,000 in overtime, doing 300 hours of overtime, which is humanly impossible, meaning they guarded her 24/7, basically. Humanly impossible, so that just don't add up. Just the receipts and the people who are bringing up these just clearly, blatantly abusive expenditures, I guess you'd call it. It's so out of pocket. What do you do in this type of situation if not an insurrection at this point? Honestly, it makes you like, if you can't even get a recall vote to be considered valid, and if it takes this long for the FBI to even launch an investigation, what type of recourse do these people have left? And I think this is a bigger conversation that we need to have, okay? Because if the federal government and if the state government ain't gonna do their job, people sooner or later are gonna take matters into their own hands and literally, I mean, they'll physically remove her from office with their own bare hands if they have to. And it's just, these type of situations, it's just I had to talk about it because people need to understand how quickly power can be abused in this country. How proper safeguards aren't there to prevent this abuse of power in this country. I think it's indicative of a larger problem of I'm pissed the FBI has not gotten involved yet. That it's taken 3 years for them to get involved. The feds, who are supposed to protect our civil liberties, we're supposed to be America, land of the free, and this woman can basically steal your money and go on a shopping spree and dress in expensive clothing, probably more expensive than what anyone can dream of. Dressing as a literal mafia boss from a movie. Um, the words, like I said, I'm struggling to even get through this right now because I don't even know how to describe how out of pocket. It's so out of pocket is my thing. It's the most out of pocket abuse of power that I've ever seen in my life. So anyways, just going back to this, here's the petition right here. I will be, again, linking that in the description of this video. She needs to be removed from office. This is an unacceptable abuse of power. I don't know, like I said, what good this will do. Hopefully it'll get the feds to get off their butts and actually do something, because we're paying them tax money too to make sure abuses of power don't happen. Doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on either. It's just, this is something that's so wrong with this country. And if this isn't stopped, not only is it going to continue, other people are going to get the idea to do it too. Oh, they're just gonna, they ain't gonna do nothing. I'm unstoppable. I'm gonna go on shopping sprees. I'm gonna go buy Louis with taxpayer money. I'm gonna go start a podcast. I'm gonna go do dance videos. She did like a dance video or two or some. The rabbit hole that this goes down of the out of pocket expenses is insane. But just the salary alone and just this trips alone is out of pocket. But now you have literal shooting up a building possibly. Literally using the police force as your own thugs. The police force, any police officer in force, that's another thing that pisses me off. We say back the blue no matter who, but in this case, not only should this blue not be backed, they should be punished, they should be in jail, and they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The people who enforce these type of laws are probably more grotesque to me than the people making them, honestly, and doing this type of crap. It's not just Tiffany Heynard. This is her entire administration. The people who are actually going along with it. I'm sorry I'm getting mad about it, but I just thought about it. The people going along with it and enforcing it. To follow orders when you know they're wrong is the biggest dereliction of duty and is disrespectful to the communities you claim to serve. To even go along with this at all, to block off I know there was another instance where she blocked off someone's festival from happening because she had her own event the same day. So we're not going to be backing the blue no matter who anymore. If they're going to continue to enforce corruption, if they're going to continue to act like the mafia, and if they're going to continue to support laws that, like I said, are just blatant abuses of power. You have the power to say no as a police officer at any time. To enforce something like this that is a violation of someone's civil liberties, of their property rights, of their basic, decent human morality. Like, that's a bigger conversation that especially the conservatives need to be having. Um, I respect law enforcement when they're enforcing the law, when they're putting bad people away, when they're putting away pedophiles, when they're putting away um, drug kingpins, that kind of thing. But when they're enforcing corruption, when they're looking the other way, when they're going along with tyranny, they're more responsible than the people proposing these laws. They are more responsible because they can stop it at any time. They can say, no, we're not going to enforce that BS. And that happened during COVID, by the way. In my state of Michigan, there was a sheriff who said, no, we're not going to enforce these so-called COVID mandates and whatnot. But I digress. Point past that. The abuse of power here and people enforcing abuse of power is it's unconscionable, honestly. I've never seen such a blatant disregard for just basic humanity, honestly. So that's my rant for the first part of this video. Kind of, I was gonna do another topic, and I think I'm still gonna cover it. But like I said, here's the petition here. It'll be link in bio. So let me just pause it right here and get back to things in the next segment of what we're gonna cover. All right, everyone. So I'm back now. So the next thing I'm gonna talk about is campaign merch, the history of it. So they're talking about Adlai Stevenson, yada yada yada. Just talking about basically the history of buttons, and kind of hats and all the types of political merch that we typically see. And it actually goes back to George Washington, apparently, which is very, very interesting. It goes back a lot further than I expected. I guess just they had like commemorative brass buttons that inscribed "Long Live the President," surrounding the initials George Washington. So that's kind of where some of it goes. I know there was also, I think it was the log cabin of 1840. William Henry Harrison ran the first active campaign for the presidency, an operation that became known as the Log Cabin Campaign of 1840, under the sing-songy slogan "Tippecanoe and Tyler to defending that Harrison was born in a log cabin and emerged a warrior at the Battle of Tippecanoe." So it was basically just using that. The reason I really wanted to talk about it was because Trump obviously launched the golden Trump shoes that have already sold out. I just saw on his Instagram, he said they sold out. And I guess the reason what drew me to kind of discuss this is just kind of where we're heading, I guess, kind of with political merchandising. We also have, the Joe Biden color changing mugs on their official website, apparently. And obviously you have Trump's well-known MAGA hats at this point. I don't even really have to cover much on that. I mean, those are ubiquitous. Those are just associated with his brand at this point. He also launched, I believe, a perfume. Yes, cologne and a perfume with a strict limit of 3 pairs per customer, which I did not know that. It obviously came on the hinges of his big trial that he had. He went to SneakerCon in Philly, in Pennsylvania, which is a key swing state. So my reason, I guess, to look at the why for this, first of all, it's just a good campaign strategy that he clearly sees it as some type of fundraising tactic. And, maybe to appeal to younger audiences, I think could be part of the thinking behind this. And that kind of thing. But basically what I wanted to kind of discuss is, where is political merchandise going to head in like the next, next 10 years, let's say. I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot more of this. People want to be able to show who they support in a lot of ways. It's really, so basically you could break down voters to the diehards, the pretty loyal, the moderate, and then the opposition, basically. So this is obviously to appeal to the more base, like, diehard fans, obviously, for that type of price, yeah, they're probably diehard fans. I think this is very indicative of the social media culture, obviously, that we're in, with, you know, people doing those kind of things, those kind of endeavors, you know, those kind of collaborations. So, you know, I see that as part of it. It's a very digital age-esque type of thing. I think you're going to be seeing more of this, actually. You're going to see more mainstream type of products used as political merchandise, used with higher end products like this, that kind of feeds into the stan culture as well, of that is kind of seeped into our political culture as well, of people backing certain candidates, of people backing certain messages, of really wanting to show what they stand for, you know. I obviously just don't do that because, you know, it's just not my thing. But for a lot of people, it's about showing what they stand for a lot of people. As a form of political speech, obviously, it's always been that for a long time. But I feel like this is kind of a new method of trying to really rouse engagement with the candidate is becoming a really important thing. Obviously, in the age of the internet, is trying to grab the attention of people. So it definitely accomplishes that. You know, when you have a $399 price tag, it accomplishes that quite clearly. So political merchandise, you know, it's usually just been buttons, hats, and I know there's the Joe Biden mugs, but I know there's been kind of other things similar to that, T-shirts. But going to the high end is a very interesting shift here. Because, like I said, it's really for those diehard people. It's insane, by the way. It's crazy, but I think you're going to be seeing it more, actually. I think you're going to be seeing people who really, you know, are all in on their preferred political candidate. Political candidates using more physical type of merchandise as a fundraising technique. Because, you know, we used to talk about, you know, fundraising platforms, you know, grassroots, smaller end donors, and basically big end, you know, corporate donors for a long time is really how the breakdown's been there for a long time. But I think the only political product I got is the Trump mug because it's $35 and it's iconic. The Trump mug shot's another one. I really, you know, that was really to rouse up people to, you know, what he's said all along of seeing it as a political persecution, whether you agree with that or not. It's just, from this perspective, it's just it's a fundraising strategy. And an effective one at that. I mean, it wasn't a terrible price either. It was pretty affordable, actually. It was like, I think it was $35, which I know is probably more than your typical mug, but, you know, it's a piece of history was one of the things behind it for me, which I think is also going to be a part of political merchandising, of just wanting to keep a piece of political history in some aspects is part of it as well. So I guess generally speaking, I guess where we see the shift going, okay, is a mix of higher end products like the Trump sneakers for the really diehard people that aren't corporate donors, maybe trying to inspire younger demographics, perhaps, to get just to enthuse enthusiasm for the campaign. I think, especially in the age again of social media, I think, you know, it's a very big type of branding exercise that is being ingrained into our political spectrum and into our political campaigning in a lot of ways. And Trump's a businessman, so that's also a part of it. It's part of his identity all along, honestly. People are going to say, you know, what they want about it, but I do see the Trump gold type of shoes kind of being, in some aspects, the Kardashification of political merchandising. I think that's the perfect way to describe it, is the Kardashification of political fundraising and political merchandising. is really going big on branding and to really go big on your message as a campaign and really integrating it. Really, that's the thing. That's the one thing Trump has done really good, is really being able to integrate those type of things. And I think even Joe Biden's starting to catch up on it with the dark Brandon and, some of the meme culture as well. Not as much yet. Well, it'll be interesting to see where it goes as we get closer to the election on, what he ends up doing as his own branding exercise. But the Trump shoes, the reason, I just see it as a big shift, I think, in how people want, how to get big money donors, but not super big money donors like the corporate class, but people who are, again, diehard supporters, really trying to go for the political stands, basically, is a really interesting shift to me, because I think it's something that's going to be happening for the next several decades. Having that, you're showing up for the candidate, you're supporting them, you're branding them, So I just see that kind of as, I guess the reason I wanted to talk about it is I just wanted to predict kind of where it's going. And that's where I predict it's going. I think it's going to be very associating a brand and a political message and a political product. It's really becoming more integrated than it used to be. It used to just be a button, like George Washington. Nothing crazy. It's a $2 metal thing from China. Maybe, a t-shirt. Even, I would say the MAGA hats started to change this, I think. Obviously, they're not as price heavy, but they became a symbol. And that's another thing, is they've become symbolic. They've become these big political symbols that people kind of rally around. Trump did that so effectively with the MAGA hat. I mean, you could do an entire analysis on how it really, because his message is simple: make America great again, and you're putting it on a hat that says the same thing, and you can show that off to people, and say, I'm part of the MAGA movement, the Make America Great Again movement. Very simple, very to the root of what they're trying to accomplish. I could see Biden eventually doing a Build Back Better hat. I'm actually surprised he hasn't. I actually, from that perspective, regardless of what I think about him, I could definitely see him doing that as kind of his counter to this upcoming election cycle, a Build Back Better kind of, because that's been his kind of messaging on it. So I can definitely see that. I could see him definitely doing something with that. I think that was probably one of his strongest campaign messages, whether you agree with him or not. I think it was a stronger... Probably, it's the same thing as Make America Great Again, honestly, but, obviously they represent, a more liberal and, conservative, and obviously there's that breakdown, of course, too. But these simpler messages, I think, are becoming ingrained to these candidates more. And they're not just catchy slogans anymore. That they really embody the people that are a part of the movement and that are really a part of these type of cultures. So, like I said, the Trump shoes to me is is the Kardashification of political merchandising, of big name kind of, having something physical to show you support a candidate and dropping, from what would seem to the normal person, a ludicrous amount of money on. But to me, from a marketing perspective, because, I studied marketing in college, obviously, so it's kind of a reason why I wanted to discuss it. But basically, it's this, like I said, so again, with the Trump shoes, it's really the culmination of a lot of things. It's really the culmination of how the internet, to me, has changed political messaging, branding, presentation of your political messaging, and how you have to really integrate it now. How you have to really tie it all together and keep it really cohesive. I think that's something Trump's done a little better so far than Biden. I think Biden, like I said, if he continues to do the Build Back Better kind of messaging, and if he plasters that more, but even that's a problem for Biden, because right now we're not building back better. People, I know there's some people who are even on the left who are concerned about Biden. So, trying to reframe that kind of mindset for voters will be key to making that message more palatable. Maybe redesigning the logo, maybe redefining what it means a little bit. Those kind of things. So that's kind of what he needs to do with that message, because I think it's an effective message, actually. That I think if done correctly, he could really utilize it as kind of a we can overcome type of thing. I think that's what he'll end up doing, honestly, is an overcoming challenges type of thing. Whereas Trump's MAGA movement is a complete lash against the political establishment. It's a complete lash against what he views as corruption and what he views as unfairness, obviously, is what's become part of his brand. Some of the charges against Trump, you can think about what you want about them. But those have also been ingrained into the MAGA movement. If he can effectively utilize them, and whether or not that'll either make more people vote for him or not, it obviously remains to be seen. So far in the polling, though, Trump's been leading Biden by 3 points. I know in my home state of Michigan he is. I would say the biggest reason for that is probably because of Muslim voters right now. The Gaza situation's, regardless of your Israeli, Palestine side, it's really dragging, and a lot of people are dying, and a lot of civilians are dying. It's really starting to take a toll on Biden's approval for people. There's some among the conservative movement who want a ceasefire. I know there's some who don't, and it's a complex issue. I will say it's a very divisive issue. It's a very emotional issue. And that to me is probably one of the biggest reasons. A lot of them just will not show up for Biden right now. Whether he ends up caving on it, I don't know. I had it in my 2024 predictions that he would, but so far he hasn't. I think there was the city of Rafah, which is like the southernmost part, which I think they were discussing it. So it does sound like maybe he's starting to come around, because from the political reality standpoint, like if he lets it drag on in its current fashion, he loses the election, honestly, over it. Because a lot of people in the Muslim community have deep ties to that region. They have family members over there. And they're one of the biggest voting blocks in Michigan, actually, Dearborn. I believe it's a 212,000 people population. And I believe Biden won the state by 158,000 people. So, and I think I saw only like 17% of people even go out and vote for Biden, where he had like 70% of their vote in like 2020. So to go down that bad, you already are losing Michigan, one of the key swing states that only a couple years ago sent Miss Gretchen Whitmer, another Democrat, back to office in a rather clean, re-election victory for her, in a rather well-organized, well-fundraised, just swept the competition, honestly. I mean, I could do an analysis on what went wrong there. But anyway, back to the political branding. I kind of got off topic there a little bit. Just a little bit, I think. So I see that the Trump sneaker phenomenon becoming more ingrained in our political culture, I guess if you want to call it, more into our political fundraising and merchandising strategies. Really trying to get to the diehards to really drum up enthusiasm. I think that's really one of the biggest things it accomplishes, is to drum up that enthusiasm, just to even get people to talk about it. So I think that is where we are kind of headed for, is with a ingrained political message in the merchandise and in the person and in the people and in the movement, all really culminating together and becoming this ingrained kind of thing. So I just wanted to discuss that. it was shorter than I expected. I didn't know how long I was going to go for on that. Again, link in bio for the Tiffany Heynard change.org petition that we discussed. And yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I don't know how often I'll be doing the Intrusive Thoughts show. I know for the Hitman content that I'm doing right now, I will probably be doing that more periodically. I've been thinking every Friday and dropping in some shorts here and there, just so you can kind of see shorter term content as well. So anyway, you know, hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, tell your friends about it, watch the videos, you know, and have a wonderful rest of your day. The weather's beautiful outside, so I might go take a walk today. I don't know. Anyways, have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.